So we are starting our meeting. Thank you. Good morning, everyone here in the room and to those joining us online. Good afternoon to those from Malawi and those in here. Good morning. So you're welcome to this Further and Higher Education Forum this morning. Soon I will hand over to the chair, who is Dr. Yonah Matemba, sitting at the other side there. And before I hand over this meeting to him, I just want to do a few housekeeping for you guys in this room. So today we are not having any fire drills happening, but if we do hear the fire alarm, we have Elena sitting just right there. She's the one who's going to show us how to evacuate out of the building and where to go. And then this meeting is also being recorded. So everything that's going to be happening in this room shared online is also going to be shared on our website and on our social pages. So if you're remaining in this meeting, it means you've given us consent to share your images and whatever you have shared with us in this room. So, and the other thing is that toilets, for toilets for both ladies and gents, when you go out, just up these small stairs, straight ahead to the end. On your right-hand side, you see the gents on the left, and then at the end, the ladies are on the right-hand side, just a little bit further for the ladies. And so to those who are also joining us online, just a reminder that you remain muted until you're asked to speak. And at that time, you can turn on your mic and your camera so that we're able to see you. And you're also free to introduce yourself in the chat box. And at this point, I will call upon Dr. Yonah Matemba to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our forum. It's so interesting every time we receive guests from Malawi, especially because you cannot complete the circle for us, because the partnership can only work if the circle is completed. And so your presence in this room today, and also for our friends who are online, it's really important. So welcome, friends, and old friends, new friends as well, that we have come to know for many, many years now. We plan to end at least by 12:30, because we know that our Malawian delegation have got a trip to make, about an hour and a half or so trip up north, somewhere in Zimbabwe. So we're aiming to at least end by 12:30. We hope that you're going to find this session helpful and useful, as always is. The purpose of the forum really is to bring together people interested in education, about education and interested in education. And I hope that the discussions here will also reconnect ourselves with each other, but also help us to think of new partners to do things about education. So the Education Forum is really about that. But let me thank also the University of Edinburgh, especially the Edinburgh's Global Health Academy, for allowing us, especially Professor Lee's grant, giving us access to this particular room. You know, there's a lot of history in this sort of building, especially in Edinburgh. I know on Monday we were in Glasgow, and equally also historical building. For Malawians, the connection is not difficult to find, where we connect with these buildings, where we connect to many other things. Maybe in a privileged way, and it's my honor to welcome our Deputy High Commissioner, Justice Vadalia, who is here. I'd like to recognize your presence and want to welcome you to the forum. Once again, I would say, and I would say that, as you know, that many Malawians who live to study here as well. So it's nice always to see a delegation from the embassy come over the side to come and visit us. So we warmly welcome you here in your presence. As you can see, that our agenda is quite full in that sense, yeah. But in special, we have the delegation from KUHeS, the Kamuzu University of Health Sciences, and there is a delegation of about 5 people. Now, so that don't mess up the names, I know that the delegation is led by the chair, but also by the Vice Chancellor. If I just ask briefly for Professor Mallewa. Professor Mallewa, if you could just introduce quickly the delegation that you from this.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for the warm welcome. With me, I have Professor. Thank you. It's great to be in Scotland, and in Edinburgh in particular, with me, I have Professor Sosten Chiotha, who is the chairperson of the Kamuzu University of Health Sciences Governing Council. Professor Chiotha, please, should stand up.
Thank you. Good morning.
And I have Dr. Belinda Gombachika, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor of KUHeS.
Good morning.
And I have Mr. Christopher Mallewa, who is the University Registrar. Dr. Benjamin Kumwenda, who is the Director of Student Affairs, but also the lead for Scottish grants. The Deputy High Commissioner is also the one who is guiding us all here as the parent of KUHeS, and she's been keeping us on the leash. So may I introduce Justice Agnes Matemba, please. This is our delegation from KUHeS.
Thank you so much. Once again,
Thank you.
we all come to Scotland. Now, let me invite a colleague of ours, a studious person, I would say, Elita, to come and speak. Elita is a student at the moment at the University of Strathclyde, and she's been leading on a project, and an interesting project, actually, of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And there was a scoping study that she undertaken, and some of us were privileged enough to be part of this sort of monologues, so to speak. So it's interesting to hear from you. You have about 10, 15 minutes. If you could come and maybe address us. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyway, as that is getting set up, good morning to everyone who is here in person. Good morning to everyone who is joining us online, and good afternoon to those who are joining from Malawi. As has already been mentioned, I'm Elita Chamdimba, and I had the privilege last year to conduct a scoping project with the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And the project focused on Scotland-Africa partnerships, and really zooming in to understand some of the challenges and the progress. So that is what I will be presenting this morning, just highlighting some of the findings. So the scoping project that I conducted a couple of months ago was commissioned by the Royal Society of Edinburgh's Africa Working Group. As some of you might know, the RSE is Scotland's national academy, and it has a really strong and growing fellowship community that is contributing to the next generation of innovative researchers and thinkers, as well as really providing independent expert advice to policymakers. The Royal Society of Edinburgh also contributes to research by providing funding and supporting projects, as well as mentoring early career researchers. Last year, I worked at the Royal Society of Edinburgh as a qualitative researcher to carry out a scoping project and to produce a report that was commissioned by the Africa Working Group. The Africa Working Group was established in 2019. However, over the recent 2 years, the working group has taken a more and more strategic approach to inform partnerships between Scotland and Africa, with a special interest in African academies, including the Malawi Academy of Sciences. I'm now a member actually of the Africa Working Group, and a lot of our work really involves supporting positive as well as meaningful engagements between Scotland and Africa. So what is it about this second scoping report? You'll notice that I'll keep mentioning second, and that is simply because there was a first. The second report actually builds on a first report that was commissioned in 2023, and it was led by Dr. Joan Haig. The first report successfully covered and presented a really broad picture of the current at the time, Scotland-Africa collaborations within the higher education sector. And some really interesting findings came out from that first report, which led the Africa Working Group to commission a second scoping project.
The second scoping project was really aimed to dig deeper into some of the issues that had emerged in the first one, and really to explore some of the challenges that partners face in research collaborations within the higher education sector. Another sort of main aim of the second report was also not only to document the challenges, but provide potential recommendations moving forward. In terms of the methodology, this scoping project took place in August to November of 2024, and 84 professionals contributed to this report, including the Scotland-Malawi partnership. There were different methods, including a survey that was administered to the postgraduate research community in Scottish universities, as well as group interviews and one-on-one interviews. In total, 8 African universities, 16 Scottish universities, and several organizations and independent institutions, as well as scholarship bodies, have contributed to this report. In terms of some of the key highlights and findings, you will be happy to know that the scoping project provided strong evidence that collaborations do exist between Scotland and Africa, and they're very interdisciplinary. So ranging from various fields such as antimicrobial resistance research, all the way to climate resilience, agriculture, freight logistics, and many, many more. Interestingly enough, the survey actually showed that most collaborations between Scotland and Africa are happening with South Africa, Ghana, Malawi, Tanzania, and Kenya. And this actually collaborates with the first scoping project, because the first scoping project also reported South Africa having the highest number of collaborations with Scottish universities. Another key finding was around approaches to building partnerships. And this is quite important because I was recently having a conversation with Dr. Joan Haig, and she pointed out something important in light of our current world, which is quite unstable, and our world, which, as you know, recently is facing the US withdrawing vital aid to Africa. So in light of that, it's really important now, more than ever, to keep the pressure on the higher education sector to make sure that connections, linkages, and partnerships continue to happen. And so the scoping project found that taking a strategic approach, as opposed to just opportunistic chancing, has a better likelihood of ensuring sustainability and mutual benefiting relationships. Some of the examples of being strategic includes having institutional level agreements. An example is actually the University of Dundee's Blantyre Declaration, which it holds with 6 Malawian universities. Another example can be the roles that universities have within their institutions, such as the University of Glasgow, which has a position known as the Dean for Global Engagement Africa, where currently Professor Mwabata Nibando, who's based in Malawi, holds that position. Another key finding, which I'm sure is not surprising, is really around the value of networks, which is essentially what we're doing today through this forum. Networks are valuable and important. I'm kind of going ahead of myself here. Before we get to the networks, another valuable finding was around external stakeholders as collaborative capital. So particularly governments, NGOs, and charities. When we think about the higher education sector, we're typically thinking really only around, university partnerships. However, something that I'm sure we can reflect on even from our Malawian delegation who's visiting, is that when you work alongside the government, for example, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, it actually accelerates projects and partnerships. And in some cases, when you don't work alongside, the right collaborators, it can stop a project altogether. And I'm sure some of us have personal experiences. So when we think about partnerships, something that the scoping project found is that it's more than just sort of having a project. It's really about building trust with the community and building trust through partnerships beyond the university. An example is actually KUHeS, which is a strategic partner of the Scottish government. And this is because the Scottish government has 3 African development partners, including Malawi, Rwanda, and Zambia. Now, moving forward to the value of networks. As I mentioned, this one is not surprising. The scoping project found that networks have the potential to create interdisciplinary links as well as relationships. And in particular, this forum, the Further and Higher Education Forum, was highlighted as being instrumental in bringing Malawian scholars, such as myself, together, not only for linkages, but also for skills development. There are several positives that came out for reasons for collaborations, and they're highlighted in that word cloud over there in terms of positives for why pursue Scotland-Africa partnerships. Having said that, however, there were also several challenges that partners have to overcome in collaborations. And even as I share these challenges, I hope that you can reflect on some of your own challenges that you've faced. I'm not going to go through every challenge. You're going to have to read the report for that. However, I want to highlight a few. So challenges around funding, around work culture, around external factors, equity, as well as systems was what the project pointed to. In terms of funding, power dynamics around money have improved in the sense that there is a stronger desire for equitable partnerships between Africa and Scotland, unlike in the past, where sometimes funding and projects were shaped more so from one side. Having said that, however, funders have not necessarily changed. So there's still arbitrary funding stipulations that restrict how money is used and how much money goes where, with most funding still remaining here in the UK, and that can be a challenge. There are also challenges in terms of the consolidated payments. So as you know, most Scottish higher education institutions do operate on institutional reserves. That's not always the case for most African universities. And this is a challenge when venturing into projects together and one university in Africa requires advance payments. However, the UK systems don't always finance in that way. Another key issue was really around systems strengthening. So what I mean by this is looking at the hidden or lesser known knowledge around project management. You find that with African universities, researchers have to shoulder many roles. Not only are they, leading in their particular study, but they're also coordinating the project. They're also managing the admin and the finance and carrying a lot of the weight. So investing in system strengthening is really needed, especially around issues to do with due diligence and others that can appear as a barrier. In closing, I just want to highlight this sort of thematic theme that came out from the findings around the ecosystem of Scotland-Africa collaborations. And as you can see from that diagram, at the heart of collaborations are people-to-people relationships. And that's something that we shouldn't forget when we embark in linkages and connections, when we embark in different collaborations, is that at the heart are people. And if those people relationships are equitable, built around trust and maintained, they can actually blossom into a legacy beyond people and develop into institution-to-institution relationships. So in conclusion, some of the recommendations put forward through the report are really around recommending sustainable relationships by strategically factoring in capacity strengthening for research management. Capacity strengthening has the opportunity to make sure that the high caliber of researchers from both African universities and Scottish universities are able to lead together equally in grant applications and also have the robust systems to carry the research in a way that is equitable as well. And then another recommendation is really around the value of networks and how we need to, as universities, to also consider that as a key matrix when it comes to the strength of the university. What is the strength of our current networks? You can read more about the report by scanning the QR code above. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elita, for that comprehensive report and the flair which you presented. I say that because this report, I think it has very positive impact, even on us academics here in Scotland. And some of those positive impacts have already started slipping through. I can already notice that. So thank you so much for that report. Quite important. As you know, for me, one of the interesting things that I always find is also to think about private universities in Malawi, not only the public ones. So I think once these sort of things come into full force, I hope that in time, it will find ourselves into these private universities in Malawi where our children go to school, not all of them go to KUHeS or go to Morse. We know this. The majority of them end up in these private universities are all over the place, and we just ignore them. It's our detriment, and the detriment of our own children and their future workforce in Malawi, because that's the reality of it. So thank you so much for that report. We have a bit of time for a few comments to make. Yes, please.
So thank you very much, Elita. As a fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh and part of the first Africa working group, which actually didn't really go very far, I'm delighted and excited by what you have managed to achieve in this second report, which I think will be very far-reaching if we take the opportunities that can come from it. So well done and thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Mike, if there's any other question. Yes, another question. We have a little bit. Yes, Professor George.
Share that QR code.
Yes, we'll share that.
We'll share a link to the full report in our web page. Yeah,
thank you very much for that informative report. I was happy that the and the public universities in Malawi was one of the issues that was highlighted because it allowed the public universities within Malawi to get together in one platform at the same time, engaging collectively with the university of that day. So I think that model is quite good, and I'm glad that it was picked up. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Professor Price online? In case he's got a comment.
Yes, I am.
Can I invite you to give some?
Can you hear me?
Very well.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, thank you, Elita. That was excellent. Really enjoyed your talk. And also thanks for the comments about the Africa Working Group for the Royal Society of Edinburgh. One of our priorities, just to add to Elita's presentation, one of our priorities is to seek out partnerships with academies in African countries. And if anybody could comment on the nascent Malawi Academy of Science, I think it is, then I'd be very interested to hear about that. We've had some initial contacts, and we're trying to develop a memorandum of understanding with that academy. So I wonder if anybody in the room has any comment about the Malawi Academy of Science and any attempts to form a linkage, partnership with that academy.
Thank you very much, Professor Price. Anyone in the room who might be able to respond to that question?
Good morning, I'm Elita from Royal Society of Edinburgh.
not to respond per se, but then just to comment to say, probably it's Malawi University of Science and Technology, MAS, that has got that component.
Yeah, sorry,
Yes. Yes.
the sound isn't terribly good.
You can contact them.
Maybe we should,
So this is where collaboration, extended collaboration begins to happen, isn't it? Professor Price, are you able to hear what's being said?
Not very well. It's a bit indistinct. I mean, maybe if that's a problem, I'd be interested if people wanted to put something into the chat.
Right.
You know, if there are key people that we should be talking to, I would like to know, you know, some contacts, any suggestions for people that we should talk to about the Malawi Academy of Science.
Thank you very much. Are you able to hear me speaking?
Yes.
Right, okay. So I'll just pass on quickly. What Dr. Gambachika was saying was that the University of CODMAS in Malawi has a component of that sort. And the discussion I was overhearing here was that they'll be able to make that connection with you, if that's okay. So yes, we'll collect that information, and that information and the contact between you and MAS will be established at some point.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Professor Joe.
yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, all right. Yes, I just wanted to add that previously there was the Association for the Advancement of Science in Malawi. And with the formation of the National Science Commission for Science and Technology, they have taken out that responsibility of coordinating all science. In fact, they're a focal point even for the African Academy of Sciences. So I think we need to network with the National Commission for Science and Technology because they are the platform for national science.
Thank you very much. So that could be an extended component of that collaboration, isn't it?
Yes.
But I think all this information will be made available, I think, to you through this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that would be very, very helpful.
Thank you. Yes, further comments, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I really enjoyed your presentation. I wonder if I could ask you to expand a little bit on work culture, because you mentioned that as a challenge, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to come here so that people, the owl also can see you?
I think the owl follows me though, but anyway. I'm sure everyone can see me from here. That's a really good question. So the issue around work culture connected with communication being one of them, in the sense that with UK universities, especially college, it's easy to connect with so that's why, you know, it's easy to even find colleagues online as opposed to African colleagues who are hard to find. So there was actually a statement that a lot of the contributors made about how it's difficult to almost find. So that's why the value of networks appeared as being critical, because sometimes you can't find an app, not that you can't find them online, but you know how it's far easier to sort of find the collaboration, the projects, the publications, the work that Scottish colleagues are doing. It's very visible as opposed to African colleagues. I think not necessarily because they don't want to be visible, but because of the culture of how we work. And that's why the report also found that a lot of in-person collaborations with African colleagues were stronger and well established compared to trying to form relationships via email, for example. Another issue was to do with what is it called, like sort of the buy out, buy in culture that is here in Scotland, where if there's a research collaboration, you can buy out your time in the sense that you wouldn't have to teach, you know, you would have somebody who would, you know, part of that funding would support to bring someone in so that you can give your time to a project and, you know, you don't necessarily have the same responsibilities. That's not the same in African universities. When they have a project, they're still carrying the weight of everything else, still teaching the regular number of hours, still marking, and still carrying the weight of implementing a project, and yet having the same demands as Scottish colleagues. So that's another example of how it's a challenge. It's a challenge where, sometimes, I don't want to say, I think the demand of work is sometimes misunderstood or different because of the different working cultures. So that's another example. More examples are in the report.
Yeah, keeping us to the report. Any other comments or questions or editor or on the report that is just presented? But it's, the report is made available online, of course, for access. But editor, my question, it's not a question, maybe a comment, is to what extent that our African colleagues will be able to access this report and be able to make use of this report. So probably the culture we're talking about just now, probably, if we can find a way of making sure that our colleagues in Africa or in Malawi are able to access this report and see the benefits of those collaborations.
We'll make sure that everyone who's registered for today's event gets a direct link to the full report. I think it was referenced in the event page, but I think intentionally we did not share the full report because we wanted people to hear it from the source. And now you can have the full content now that you've heard the summary.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
One more?
Yes, please.
Well, you're struggling a little bit.
So, hello, I hope they can hear me.
Yes.
I think the issue of the webcast is the critical one, and I'm glad you raised that. And my PhD was from the University of Maryland, and my supervisor was able to stay with me in the field in Malawi when I was doing field work for 18 months because he had actually paid somebody to do this while people are away. So it is a win-win situation in that way, and I think we needed to ensure that where it can work, we should adopt it. The other issue we're discussing with the DC Mallewa is right now I'm on the April.
Yes.
So I didn't have to ask you for a password, but I'd like to go through University of Dundee. And so somehow we need to make sure that this facility is also available through our own universities. Some of them in South Africa they do, but in Malawi we are not yet there. So perhaps these are some of the things that we need to put on the networking opportunities to ensure that people can be reached and contacted easily.
Thank you so much, Professor. I'm so excited, and I think exactly what you just said about internal collaborations and support of one another, not competition, but collaboration even amongst Malawian universities or African universities themselves, including sharing of facilities like internet access, things that can be done quite easily. So thank you for highlighting that. Hi, Stuart.
Thank you, Chair. Elita, thanks so much. Fascinating. You mentioned about the greater availability of the profile of UK-based rather than African continent researchers. Excuse me, we've two new members, Dr. Catherine Chiotha of the University of Strathclyde and Roger Duncan, who are getting together to work with us to help raise the profile of Wikipedia of Malawian women. And I just wonder what you think of that as an initiative.
I think that's a fantastic initiative. I'm all here for always raising the profile of African women and Malawian women specifically. And it's really centers on what I was mentioning about more visibility needed for African researchers. We exist, we are there, and great work is being done, but it's often unseen and it's often unhidden. I think it's high time we took a different effort, a strategic approach to make sure that hidden voices are no longer hidden. So that's great.
Is there in your report any reference to government responsibilities over these sort of matters? Because in African setting, governments do set the pace of how things are done. Is there any recommendation for how governments can handle or do certain things differently?
That's a good point. So around the external collaborators, I did highlight the role of government, including African governments. So something that did come out is that African governments are quite key in most cases to collaborations, because they're able to push forward and accelerate. However, the challenge sometimes is they also have the power to stop collaborations. So that's definitely an area for improvement for our African governments. Instead of stopping collaboration, they really should do better to support. In addition to that, I would say, there's a specific contribution to funders, but that connects to governments as well. We need to ensure that our governments are investing in research funding. A majority of the funding comes from Scotland, from UK, and from abroad. And as we've seen with the recent US cuts of aid, heavy reliance on external funding for research and projects is risky. So that's something for African governments to consider. To what extent are you valuing research, and how are you proving that value through funding?
Thank you very much.
Also, from the S&P perspective, from a program perspective, one cultural difference I've noticed is the importance maybe placed on platforms such as LinkedIn. If I look at any UK academic, their LinkedIn profile is very detailed.
Yeah.
You know, and our colleagues, I'm sometimes trying to find you.
Yeah.
You know, on LinkedIn or also institutional websites, you know, how much onus is put on celebrating accomplishments. And unfortunately, well, the digital world provides a lot of opportunities to connect. So that's maybe something at an individual level that, you know, can bring people together.
Indeed. I saw Emma there, and I'll come to you because she got the other hand, and then yours, who's the third. So try to Emma first, Emma, please. And then.
I just wondered if ability to get onto the internet and access the internet had been an issue at all. I mean, this is something that we've been looking at a small level, but looking at Starlink as a way of providing accessible internet connection. But I mean, just had a discussion around that. That's sort of tricky. I know Elon Musk has sort of cut off South Africa because of a row and that sort of thing. But I wondered if that was an issue at university level, or if internet access isn't.
I can bring you over.
Yes, please. Susan, how was for you?
Thank you. That's a good question, Emma. So internet connection and the digital divide was really connected to system strengthening. When you think about system strengthening, it includes as well as capacity for internet and the infrastructure for that as well. So that did emerge as an issue, and it actually affects the research culture. So it's not that African colleagues don't want to be visible or don't want to be online, but then the infrastructure is not there. And so that's why I have that recommendation that let's not only support the research, but we need to support the systems that hold that research. And that's something to consider when we apply for grants. Have a section, have a component in there that also considers strengthening the systems, and particularly for African universities. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And we have a few minutes, and after that, I'll ask Professor Mallewa to come and speak.
Thank you so much. My name is Christopher Mallewa. I'm the registrar for Kamuzu University of Health Sciences. So I'll just give you what you've said. Actually, I've downloaded the report, and on page 46 out of that's where under figure 4, we are talking about the areas where challenges in Scotland-African collaborations are experienced. And there is an area where you're talking about research management, and you talk about professional staff and services and administration. Now, myself coming from the admin side of it, you'll see that the functions of the university are teaching and learning, research, community engagement. Now we are going to innovation and industrialization. We seem to be focusing very much on the research aspect, and we are leaving behind the professional and support staff. So that we now, the researcher is at a very top-notch thinking. This administrator is at a low level, and the type of support that they give you eventually say, this person is not performing, and it's because we have not built capacity in those individuals. I would like to know or ask you, how do you propose that this also cadre should be capacitated, should be given the necessary resources so that they should be able to perform at the level that is most required? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's such a good question. Actually, you summarized this section of the report very well with what you said, and I'm sure when you read it in whole, you'll be able to recognize some of your own words in there. So something that I would again say, and you'll see in the report, is that system strengthening, especially for professional services, is very much needed in African universities. And it's something that, again, coming back to how do our grant applications look like? Are we considering just the researcher, or are we considering the professional services supporting the researcher? How do our networks look like? When we have networks, is it just researchers coming together to talk about, our collaborations and links, or do we have existing networks for professional services? And to what extent are we bridging the two? Because like you said, research is advancing, teaching is advancing, but our professional services coming alongside this journey. We need to have networks that bring the two groups together for opportunities for improvement, for strengthening, and for growth. In the report, I actually highlighted the work of Mary Ryan. She's based at University of Glasgow, and she had a dedicated conference focusing on system strengthening and professional services. It's high time we have those kind of conferences in our universities, not just research conferences, but conferences that are looking at system strengthening and professional services. So thank you for that.
Thank you. For the last question, before I ask this, I'm going to comment.
Right. Thank you so much for a very good presentation and comprehensive report. Mine is not a question, just a comment. I'm Kathleen Chabula, lecturer at the University of Strathclyde. So my work is on information access programs, mainly looking at the digital divide. I'm very happy to see that this has been raised, and I've been working on how to create content and make sure that search engines are able to provide results from information that is provided locally. So my work has been on local languages like Chiotha. So now we are thinking of how we can contribute to that as a partnership, and we are thinking of working with universities in Malawi to mobilize people to provide images and text on Wikipedia so that we can expand the resources that are available about Malawi and all the work that the good work that people in Malawi are doing. Thank you.
Before you go. So thank you very much for the last speaker. Before I ask Professor, I just want to thank you, but in a different way. We are proud of you because we are Malawians, and most of us are Malawians here. So we are proud of you that you've come here and you're showcasing the best of us. So I just want to take this opportunity just to thank you personally on behalf of the forum. Thank you. My apologies for being on the way. Please, you have a few minutes to speak to us. Thank you.
We're headed another stick. Is this the one you gave me or it's different? Different. Okay, give me just 1 second then.
That's okay. Then
Yeah.
probably
Go ahead and get yourself mic'd up and
share, please. I'm hoping. While they're loading my talk, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to the Scottish people, but also specifically to SNP for raising the Malawi flag, for ensuring that there is coordinated efforts between various universities in Malawi in contributing to Malawi development, but also world development. It's a great opportunity to be here to celebrate years of partnership between the people of Scotland and people of Malawi, a partnership that has been long-standing, that's lasted centuries, from the times of Dr. David Livingstone, times of Dr. Kamuzu, whose name our university bears, to the past 20 years where that partnership has been strengthened and cemented. And KUHeS is one university that has benefited hugely from that partnership. And to be here today to share with you some of the achievements from that partnership is great. But that would not have been possible for us to be here if it wasn't for the efforts of the SNP to make sure that indeed affairs of Malawi are heard. For that, we say thank you so much indeed.
This remote should be working. Just pop that in your pocket. Sorry, you're going to part? Okay. Yeah, that should be fine.
So my talk this morning is essentially going to be a bit of background to the partnership that has been there. I will again talk about the previous collaboration between KUHeS and Scottish universities, and then I'm going to pass on to my colleague, Dr. Benjamin Kumenda, to talk a little bit more about the current project that KUHeS is leading, supported by the Scottish government. So that's the outline. You know that indeed KUHeS was only born 3 years ago on the 4th of May 2021 as a merger between two former colleges of the University of Malawi. Kamuzu College of Nursing, which was established in 1979, and College of Medicine that was established in 1991. And it's been 3 years of achievements, 3 years of potential challenges, but it's 3 years of excitement. We have a vision of a world-class university and center of excellence in health education, research, and innovation, and a mission that supports that. But for us to get to that, we have our strategic plan with strategic pillars, and in each one of those strategic pillars, there's excellence embedded in it. Teaching and learning, research and innovation, service to the community, financial management and resource mobilization, governance and management, partnerships, excellence in partnerships and networking, which is why we are here. Excellence in student welfare and staff welfare as well. But we're also here to make sure that the agenda of Malawi, the development blueprint, Malawi 2063, that seeks to transform Malawi into a upper middle income country by 2063, we have to embed it in everything we do at the university. We want a Malawi that is inclusively wealthy and self-reliant by 2063, and we have a role to contribute towards that. So how have we benefited from the Scottish people in the way we've delivered education in Malawi? Although KUHeS was established in 2021, before that we received and enjoyed numerous support through the then College of Medicine, but also Kamuzu College of Nursing. We've had collaboration with the University of Edinburgh in terms of curriculum review of clinical teaching, teaching simulations, and so on and so forth. University of West Scotland, establishment of clinical skills lab, University of Dundee, collaborating in setting up what we call COMETO, College of Medicine, training, education and training office, But also, Professor Chiotha talked about, and also Elita talked about the Blunder Declaration, which is an initiative by University of Dundee to make sure that indeed the 6 public investors in Malawi collaborate in doing research, but also contribution to development. But it's a capacity building initiative where students from Malawi come to the University of Dundee to do their PhDs. As we speak, there are 6 students from 6 public investors in Malawi studying in Dundee. We've had collaborations with the University of St. Andrews in terms of curriculum review, creation of exams banks, modern teaching to establish computer labs and computer servers, capacity building in our ICT staff, curriculum management systems, all with the University of St. Andrews. And again, the University of Glasgow, there's been lots of collaboration in all sorts of works in the University of Glasgow. We have the Malawi, Zambia, Blunder de Blantyre, and Lusaka lab facility, which is a setup that has transformed the way we know lab work and research in Malawi. We have the Malawi Dental School project. We didn't have any dental school in Malawi up until 2021. With the support of the Scottish government, we have a dental department and will qualify, will graduate the first ever Malawian grown dentist next month on the 30th of This would not have been possible if it wasn't for the partnership between KUHeS, University of Glasgow, but supported by the Scottish government. We have the governance project. Elita talked about, if you must should make sure that indeed the university is getting involved in partnership, you have to strengthen the systems, the financial systems, governance systems. And again, we turn to the Scottish government to help us in setting up a governance project to support us, a young university develop into a full-blown university that is of our class. Again, there will always be disasters happening, and Malawi has been prone to lots of disasters. As we speak, there's supposed to be tropical storm Jude that is circulating through Malawi now. It's died down quite a bit now, but there's been lots of these disasters. And there was the COVID-19, when it hit us, the Scottish government was there to support us in terms of response, but also research. Teaching and diploma in tropical medicine, again, that was supported by the Scottish government through the University of Glasgow. The cholera vaccine work, again, we've had an outbreak of cholera. The Scottish government was there to support us, work together with the University of Glasgow. So this is like examples of how indeed we need to be supported, either collaborating with fellow universities in Malawi, but also universities in Scotland. Let me talk a little bit about the dental school project, because this is a flagship or an example of how you can transform a country that had no resources, no programs into where we are today. I said before that we didn't have a dental school in Malawi up until 2018, when the Scottish government agreed to support us to set up a dental department by injecting £1.6 million. The aim was to establish dental program, develop national oral health policy, which we did not have before, but also established a dental disease prevention program. Now we're talking about a program, dental program, that has 118 students in the program. And like I said before, the first lot are graduating next month. We are also developing capacity in young faculty to develop into full-fledged dental specialists. Again, another example of how you can support a young university to grow big. The Blunder Lab is a pride of the university, a pride of the nation, where the state-of-the-art equipment for research, diagnostics, but also postgraduate training. And again, it was set up by support from the Scottish government when they injected £1 million for the infrastructure, but there was also support from the World Bank to provide equipment and so on and so forth. As we speak now, because of the success of this was extended to Lusaka, Zambia. Again, supporting a regional South-South partnership. I talked about the governance project. As a young investor, we knew that for us to take off, we need systems strengthening. We need legal instruments to be developed, statutes, policies, because without that, we would not be where we are today. And the Scottish government graciously gave us £20,000 to start that process. But then within a few months, the COVID hit in, and we were able to divert some of the funds into COVID response to provide benefit to the whole nation. So again, there's been support towards mental health programs and courses in Malawi, and in collaboration with the University of Edinburgh, we were given some funding from 2010 to 2020, providing short courses to clinical officers and nursing personnel that were trained, about 500 of them trained in short courses. During the same program and the same funding, 4 psychiatrists were trained in Malawi. We didn't have our own homegrown psychiatrists before that. And again, the MMed, which is a psychiatrist specialist training, was established and now it's up and running, and the Scottish people continue to provide support in terms of flying faculty to fly from here and support us in the teaching in Malawi. So those are the areas that we've been supported in, and there are various other opportunities for support and collaboration between Scottish universities and KUHeS in various areas. These are our thematic research areas that we want to invite institutions to work with us. Non-communicable diseases, neglected tropical diseases, infectious diseases. The climate is another area that we need, one, to build capacity, but also to build research areas. I think everybody knows how Malawi has been hit over the past few years. KUHeS has risen to the occasion to come up with programs, research ideas to respond to that. And as we speak, we've been called to put in expression of interest to collaborate with other universities in Africa, FITS, University of Cape Town, to respond to issues of climate change and the environment, issues of aging, mental health, behavioral sciences, and so on and so forth are all areas that would like to collaborate with our partners. So without further ado, I want to ask Dr. Benjamin Kumwenda to specifically talk about a strategic partnership grant, which is supporting KUHeS, supported by the Scottish government, which is an example of wanting to strengthen an institution that is just beginning, strengthen it such that it gets to a level where it will be able to collaborate at international standards. But like I said, I think like it's been mentioned before, you need to strengthen the institutions for them to be at par with colleagues in the international community, so that they can do meaningful research that is of mutual benefit and bi-directional. So without further ado, Dr. Kumwenda, in brief, just a little bit about the Scottish Partner projects.
Good morning. Still morning, right? Yeah,
No,
thank you.
missed it by a minute.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I will indeed be very brief because the strategic plan partnership grant that we have now is a continuation of what was already happening. So I will indeed be very brief. We had the Blanta laboratory facility. We also had the governance project. We also had the Mardent project. All these projects were funded by the Scottish government and they ended in 2024. Now from 2024, the Scottish government decided to give us a non-competitive grant of £500,000 every year for the next 5 years. This is to continue supporting these initiatives. Otherwise, for example, the dental school, it is still at its infancy and needed support in various forms. So the the strategic partnership grant comes on to build on that. With the aim of enhancing capacity for the university to effectively deliver its mandate through improved governance, academic excellence, research capabilities, and also and timely leading to better health outcomes in Malawi. And we are also supporting the Zambia initiatives, extending the work and the support that have been given to our colleagues in Zambia. I've already highlighted on that. The first year really starts on 1st April. I think that's when the financial year starts here in Scotland, and it's ending this March. And then we'll be starting another year the coming months. That's the distribution, how the money has been spent in this current year, and we'll reprofile that for the coming years depending on the needs. So we have the governance project. I'm happy that you highlighted that in your report. I think governance is one of the key issues, both at leadership and also at systems. And us as a new university, we're born bringing two colleges, the nursing school and the medical school, with different systems, different cultures, the same policies, but probably implemented in different ways. We needed to see how we can bring that together and see how we can function as one unit. We also had to do the analysis of policies that we had, and then we also had to develop new policies to strengthen the function of the university. So we hope that by the end of this, we should have strengthened governance structures, improved financial management, and effective policy implementation by the end of that work package. The dental school, as I've said, although we had that funding, £1.6 million, but it is still in its infancy, and there's continued support to it in terms of staff, foreign faculty from Scotland to help us teach, but also support to recruitment of staff, reagents, and equipment so that we can have high quality and high standard training to our dental students. With the hope that by the end of these 5 years, we'll have an increased availability of skills in dental professions and improved oral health services in Malawi. We've already said a lot about the blunter, but I want to highlight that really this is about supporting researchers so that if you have students in Malawi, they can do all their lab work there and the analysis there. So many years we've been sending samples either to here Scotland, England, or US, or various countries. This is a huge overhead as far as the research is concerned. But now we have the state-of-art facilities within the university where you can do different type of experiments and still be able to generate the data and the results right in the university. We are also using the same facility to service the community around us. So hospitals, health centers, patients are able to bring their samples, and then we do the analysis, give back to doctors, and they are able to be supported by this. We hope by the end of the 5 years, we'll have an enhanced research capacity, an international accredited laboratory services, and improve health diagnosis within the country. What the grant has also done is to help us monitor performance. So we have the monitoring and evaluation, learning, and the research component so that we can be able to build systems where we can generate data, we can analyze the data, learn from it. This is in terms of how the policies are working within the institution, and then be able to move forward. So it's a very important component. We are required by the government to do reforms and report on various deliverables, and this also has helped us. Through this, we have developed an M&D unit within the university, but also staffed that unit, and we hope that it will help us make huge achievements. Some of the achievements have already been said. Without the support from the Scottish universities and the governments, we couldn't be talking about these 10 dentists that are graduating. And I think the emphasis has been put on 10 dentists, but I just want to highlight that there are thousands of Malawians being serviced by them, which we are not pointing out at that point, at this point, who couldn't have gone anywhere to be helped and supported. The governance, we hope the issue of governance within our institutions. For us, we're really at a very difficult position. Our colleagues had moved on as a college and graduated as a university, but for us, there was quite more. We have developed over 73 policies and also about 14 curriculums. And as we speak, the National Council of Higher Education has accredited us as a university. There's nothing worse than going and paying fees to go to university that is not accredited and doing a course that is not recognized. You can't take it anywhere in the world, but we are accredited within the 3 years because of that support. I've already highlighted on the BTBT lab and also the monitoring and evaluation. All this will help us deliver on our strategic plan that has already been highlighted, but also to speak to the Malawi 2063 vision so that we can contribute to human capital development, have dynamism in our university, but also the economic infrastructure that this has brought in terms of the equipment and all that. So let me stop there and thank the Scotland-Malawi partnership, the Scottish government, and all the partners here in Scotland for supporting us in different ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Dr. Mwenda. Now, in the interest of time, both online and here, I will have maybe 2 short questions. Thank you. The first one is on the floor. Emma, you put a hand up.
I just wondered if you could tell us a bit about what's meant by mindset change. I saw that as an interesting heading. Just in the last slide. About 1 slide.
Yeah, okay.
So the mindset change is something that is promoted at the national level, but also in various institutions. At Kamuzu University, we speak of excellence. We speak about delivery of services to be able to be productive in the university. We have values that within the strategic plan. So we want to instill these values among our staff so that they can drive their productivity. I think the kind of thinking where we are all moving together in the direction of delivering things of excellence. That is at university level. But maybe my Vice Chancellor can add to that as well.
My mindset change essentially is a concept that for many years we believe maybe we can't do this. This is too difficult. We can't achieve this. Or it's just status quo. Let's just continue living the way we do. There's been issues of corruption in Malawi and the rest of Africa, believing, oh well, this is the way things have been all along. It's time to change our mind to say we can do this, we can change this, we can change the narrative. We shouldn't just be happy with what we have at the moment. We've been in the what kind of least developed countries for many years. We can move things. So that kind of ability to think things can change. We can be better, we can do better. Believe in ourselves. We have to start with that mindset change if we can do anything else. Otherwise, we just say, this is the way we've been, we won't change.
Thank you very much. Just half a minute. Half a minute.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to comment on the mindset change in terms of partnership. From way back, we believe that probably the solutions would come from our colleagues. So this time around, we said, no. We need to collaborate, we need the partnerships, where we need to share. Climate change doesn't just affect us in Malawi, but it also affects you here. So let's meet and discuss how can we move. So that's also part of mindset change in terms of partnerships and collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for that and for that presentation of KUHeS. In the interest of time, because I promised at the beginning that we should end at least ideally by 1:20, 1:25. But I am aware that we've got a couple of people like probably to speak, especially we know we have others online who probably would like to contribute. Is Linda there? Linda, are you online? Linda Temple.
I'm here. I was trying to put my camera on so that the people in the room can see me. And
Welcome, we can see you. I'm just pointing out to you, but I've got a few others I'd like to ask to speak just for a few minutes. Is there any updates? Because at this point, we want to ask if there are any updates from our members. Those are projects or collaborations happening as we speak. And we want just to highlight a few things that they've been doing since the last time that we met in Glasgow. So, Linda, can I give you this opportunity just to share with us what's been happening up there in Malawi with MAS, especially the forum? I'm interested in the forum.
Great. No, thank you so much. I believe it's afternoon, everybody in the room. So for Malawi-Scotland partnership in terms of the further and higher education, we've done quite a number of things. For instance, we are trying to re-establish our relationship with universities. It is really encouraging to hear from KUHeS and all the progress that they have made. And I would want to attest that we have a good relationship with KUHeS and we follow closely on their work and we amplify their work also even on our website. But we saw that possibly charity begins at home and we need to re-establish the relationship with universities. So at the moment, what we've done is actively engage with universities across the country so that we get to know them and we get to know their interests, so that we can now think of how we can formulate collaborative projects just within the country and align them with their mission and the goals for the universities so that we can aim at enhancing academic and research opportunities that will promote student and staff exchanges and also foster knowledge sharing. And I'm also happy to share that we are also trying to also establish our relationship with the Ministry of Education, where we had these strategic discussions with the ministry, discussing them on our vision and our initiatives in terms of the further and higher education. And the ministry has also shown strong support on our efforts and is committed to working with us. And at the moment, we have actually drafted a memorandum of understanding, which is being vetted. And this MOU is outlining the terms of our partnership, including specific areas of collaboration for mutual commitment. And the key objective of the MOU is aiming at promoting academic excellence, research collaborations, and capacity building in higher education. It is also seeking to enhance the quality of education and creating opportunity for students and faculty members. And I would also want to highlight that at the moment, MAS has organized several capacity building workshops for universities, and we are hoping that this will also involve, will enhance teaching and research skills, as well as leadership development. And also we are hoping that we would further this into student and staff exchanges, as well as it will trickle down to coming out with the research collaborations, where we'll be able to join research projects that are addressing key critical issues here in this country in terms of education, energy, as well as issues of sustainable development. And our future plans, we are aiming to expand our partnership with more universities so that the higher education institutions in both Malawi and Scotland will have a wider reach and create more impactful initiatives. We are also hoping that we'll be able to enhance support through trainings, resource mobilization, as well as possibly maybe would just say technically in terms of networking opportunities, so that the universities are more able to share their research findings, just like KUHeS has just done just now. So we want this to start from Malawi corner, where universities here in Malawi at faculty level within the universities, even trickling out to other universities within Malawi, that they're able to have these networking opportunities where they're able to share their research findings, they're able to share their challenges and how they are having or finding solutions to such challenges that they are facing. And finally, just want to say thank you to the Ministry of Education for showing that support. We could not have done this without their support. And we also want to call for action that we need to work together so that we are able to share and build strong education partnerships that will benefit communities and nations, as well as people will be able to see what Malawi is able to do in terms of further and higher education, what Scotland is able to do in terms of further and higher education. And I'm happy also to see that Elita was able to stand and share those collaborative ideas that she shared on the partnerships between Africa and Scotland, which also complements well on our efforts. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share our milestones and where we're heading. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. That's a comprehensive report or update rather, so thank you so much for that. One quick question from me. To what extent have you managed to get on board the private universities in Malawi?
Yeah, so I think there are still efforts to lobby with the private universities, but we did approach Nche so that they could give us the contacts for the private universities. And we are hoping that once we have landed ourselves that meeting with the Nche, then it will be easier for us to reach out to the private universities, because our aim as Malawi Scotland Partnership is that we should reach out to all the universities, that is both private and public universities.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, in the interest of time, we don't have much time to 25 past on running out of time. So as chair, I can make sure that people are able to walk from here, going out there, and get into the train, going somewhere more interesting. But before that happens, Heather, Heather, do you have any updates that you might have? Anyone else in the room or online who might have an update on their collaborations or projects they're working on at the moment?
Bosco will have something to say.
Something.
Yes, Bosco, yes,
No,
please. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you, Elita, for the presentation, and also Mark for the presentation on KUHeS and the partnerships. I just wanted to highlight some conversation we had with the KUHeS team when they visited Glasgow a few days ago, and I want to take this as an opportunity as well to say that even as the University of Glasgow, we are really interested in partnering with KUHeS and other universities as well. As some of you might know, we've been working on rabies control work in Malawi, and we're at a stage where we're looking at knowledge mobilization. And one key stakeholder that we are hoping to work with or engage with is Kamuzu University of Health Sciences, because of their influence and role within the public health sector in Malawi. And so we're hoping to take these conversations further to look at further collaboration as we look at implementing a One Health approach to rabies control. And I think this is one particular assignment which is going to be very useful in enhancing the Scotland-Malawi partnership as well. So I just wanted to share that with the rest of the class. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bosco. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other updates online or here in person? Is Professor Lyra in? Colin Lyra? Professor Torrent?
I think they were maybe earlier, but.
Right.
I can just, very quickly, as many of you know, through this forum, we launched the Malawian Scholars in Scotland initiative. At the beginning of the new year, with some help from Elita and Bosco and other people, we sent around a survey trying to gauge interest in MSS, not necessarily interest, but on how best the program, the initiative could assist Malawians that are here currently studying in Scotland. As of yesterday, I had about 7 responses to that survey. We sent out to about 25 known Malawians that are studying in Scotland at the moment. So I'm going to send that link again to everyone who got it about 4 or 5 weeks ago, encouraging you to give feedback. So I don't have a full comprehensive, I don't think we have quite enough data yet, but initially the 2 things that I highlighted that from the respondents who have responded, one of the biggest hurdles for engaging with our events at SMP is the cost of transport. So that's good to acknowledge. That's why we try to do everything hybrid so that people can join us. And as many of you know, we've shifted this venue around a little bit. We're going to be at the University of Dundee. We hope to in September or in the autumn, we will be at the University of Dundee, acknowledging that there's many Malawian students there at the moment. We'll try to move the venue around for these forums to try to assist people with that. But please encourage one another to join online as well. And the other key takeaway from the people who have completed the survey is everyone was very keen to get involved in organizing an event and in giving their time and energy. So I've now got your name and email, and we will be in touch, and you will have to step up, and hopefully we can organize whether it's a virtual or hopefully in-person get-together for all the scholars that are here in Malawi, leading on to, as we hope at some point, a symposium, so everyone can highlight the work they've been working on. So watch this space, and we're still more feedback from yourselves as members, the better, the stronger the network can grow.
Thank you so much, Chad. Thank you so much. Now, before we close, is there anyone with a burning question or comment or suggestion that you have either here in person or online? If you don't speak, don't say I didn't give you the chance. Okay, now before we close, let me just take this opportunity to thank you all for coming. Of course, I take back my words that this is the place to be. Don't be isolated. We're all here. So this is the best place to be. We have been doing this forum for quite a while, and they are getting better all the time. The collaborations, the interest that's coming both online in Malawi and here is exciting. So thank you for your continued support. And here's what I'm about to say, both online and here. Spread the word. Tell others of what's happening here. Share these ideas with other people. Collaborate and come and tell us what else is happening so that this forum continues to grow. Not just grow in terms of talking, rhetoric, but in terms of impact, outcome, the things we do. I like what Dr. Mwenda said. Dr. Mwenda said that, this will just emphasize on 10 dentists who are being graduated. And say something profound. He said what? There are hundreds and thousands of Malawians who are for the first time benefited from dental services because of these 10 first cohort of graduates in dentistry. And this is what we're talking about. So we're talking about impact. It is people that otherwise would not have in any way, shape, or form benefited from these little ideas that are coming from this scoping study, or this person talking, or somebody coming, and finally people benefiting from those services. So let me thank you so much for coming tonight, and for those online, let me thank you so much for taking the time to come and be with us here in Malawi. Please continue enjoying the sun. I hope the sun is there. Here, we enjoy the cold. It's not frozen anyway, so we have a good time also here. But other than that, I want to close. But I'm aware that I want to give to Chad just in a second. That after that, we'll have time to collaborate and exchange emails, take pictures, why not? Because here's the thing, somebody talk about LinkedIn. What's talking about LinkedIn? What's on LinkedIn? Chad, someone was talking about LinkedIn, and then here's the thing, and it's true, because in LinkedIn, this is where Emma and I are connected, Emma's connected with 230 people, and so on. So before you know it, we're all beginning to know one another. So here's my plea. If you're not on LinkedIn, please go and establish. If you haven't updated your LinkedIn, please go and update your LinkedIn so that you can find more market collaboration. So we keep on talking and sharing stuff that's going on. You can't be any better than that. Chad, I didn't eat in your time, I know. If I do, I apologize. But I will hand over now to our Deputy CEO for the Scotland-Africa Partnership, Chad Morse.
It's really just to say thank you, and thank you for only leaving me 3 minutes so we can close on time, so I don't have to go on. But first, just thank you, Yonah, for chairing once again, making the effort to join us today. He's obviously coming from the other side of Scotland, you know, in a very early morning to come and chair for us. So thank you, Yonah, for chairing. Also, thank you to Professor Liz Grant and particularly to Ellen for sourcing the venue for us today. It's nice to be, we like actually going to different places and providing the venue today, so it's worked very well for us. And of course to the delegation from KUHeS for taking, you know, the second time this week. We're very grateful to be with us twice and hope you have a good rest of your visit over. And we're sorry, it was warm at the weekend before you came. What we call a full spring. We had a full spring for 2 days and then you guys came, but I hope your families are all safe after storm Jude has passed through. So, and everybody in Malawi, thank you all for joining us, and please stay in touch with us via our social media, and we'll keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Where I come from, once the big man has said the last word, nobody else says anything. I'm here just to give you a token of thank you to the SNP for that wonderful work that you've done and for welcoming us, for all the coordination that you've done for us to be here and have meaningful meetings with various people, including the Scottish government and the Scottish Parliament. So, Madam DVC. Yes. Or Stuart.
Thank you. Malawi at 60 in the background.
Yeah. Now, Stuart, you join them as well. We're trying to be so bashful. I'll take one.
We've been in the middle then. Oh no, I'm going the wrong way. Okay.
Now, you.
Okay.
We got Nasim up there, she's on.